right, welcome to another Friday night episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and I believe on my left or right, somewhere's on the screen, is Brian Damage Forsythe, my carnivore co-host from the band Kix and Rhino Bucket. And we have back with us, you've seen him many times, from the Captain Carnivore channel, Mr. Steve, Captain Carnivore Conover. So welcome back, brother. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Love your backdrop that's behind you. Can't see all of it, but why don't you tell everybody what that says?
It says lions eat meat and sheep eat sugar. You can find more interesting stuff like coffee mugs with that kind of stuff on it at NoCarbNovember.com.
All right.
Which we're getting ready for.
There we go. I'm all for that. Brian, I'm looking forward to hearing you. I haven't had time today because I wanted to get into Nina Teichholz's podcast that you recommended. So you said that was a really good one?
Yeah. In fact, I didn't finish it. I still got, I don't even know how much more to go, but I got about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through or so.
So,
but yeah.
So to share with everybody what she was about, sounds like she was on the same train of thought of the blatant government corruption and nutrition recommendations.
Well, she's been kind of on that for a while now, but she writes all these articles about the the food guidelines and all that stuff, and she's been trying to make people aware that that every 5 years or something they update the guidelines,
right?
And every time they going into it, they try to get them to change things and to add things. And it seems like the further it gets, it's like as the years progress, they're willing to even look at even less evidence for, like say a low carb diet or anything. And, even though there's all kinds of research and she said as far back as 2015, the top like nutrition scientists and all this, they submitted all these
studies, and then they submit a ton of studies.
Yeah. And they said they were going to look at it and consider it, and then nothing ever came of it. And it turns out they just sort of pushed it aside. And now they're saying, well, the next one is 2025, and they're not even going to consider a low carb diet as part of a healthy diet. Like they're not even going to mention it. It's not even going to be considered. So, she dug into it in this podcast, how that whole system works. And I wish I should have wrote down some stuff, but but from my memory, she just basically says, there's the FDA and there's what is the other agency that actually does the guidelines, but they even tried to implement the transparency thing, because it turns out that they said something about there could be 50% of people on there with conflict. Yeah, conflict of interest. But the way it is now, it's 95%. Yeah. Like 95% of the board are all connected to big food and big pharma and all that. So it's like we all know that's who's putting this thing together. But she breaks it down and really goes through like the process of what they've been trying to push, and try to get them to look at and change. And it is so like it's so broken and corrupt and blatantly corrupt that it's just crazy. And then on top of that, not to change the subject, but did you hear about California? What's his name? Gavin Newsom just passed a law where a doctor or medical doctor can't go outside of that little guide if they even suggest any alternative approach to anything, they could lose their license. It's almost like this, they're trying to set in stone the way things are looked at this moment, and there's nobody can question it from now on. It's like, that is just insanity to me.
Yeah, you can't do anything off schedule in California.
Yeah. I mean, it's already kind of like that, you know, but at least you can fight it a little bit. But now he's like making it this law. It's just like, it's just so wrong, you know?
So here's my question to everyone. And I know we've been on this just like Nina is and a lot of other people, but why are we focusing so much of our energy to try to get them to change when the reality of it is we don't need them? And yes, they do put out the guidelines, they do put out the recommendations, but the reality of it is, why don't we just focus our energy on the reality of it is what they're peddling is craziness and is meant to do you harm, when the reality of it is you don't need them in order to be living a healthy lifestyle to give you the best chance to be healthy. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, yeah, you're absolutely correct. And that's true. But what I think what she is trying to fight for is the fact that the guidelines, they control all the schools, lunches, and all that stuff, you know, and you know, the kids, they're victims in this, you know.
Well, it's sad because, you know, I'm thinking, man, how cool would be if we start to, especially Captain Carnivore here, start pack a ribeye, bag of ribeye, send your kid to school with a ribeye and butter, and let them start eating meat right out of the beginning, and no longer contribute to that corrupt cafeteria system that we have as the public school system. Because I don't think we can fix that system. I think it's that broken. I just think we have to break away and say, you know what, we're not even going to use your system. You guys go over there and play in your sandbox. We're gonna start feeding ourselves. And then when they start to come down on that, which I think they probably will, that's when you start to expose the true people who are behind the corruption. Now, we already know who they are, but now they're going to come out of the shadows and you're going to see who they really are. And I think we should focus more of our energy on shows like this and getting that word out. You know, I pulled out I just wanted to find out, and I asked you two, what the obesity rates by country. Now, I don't even believe this, but do you know where the United States falls as what place we fall in as the most obese countries in the world if we ranked them from 1 to 136, whatever it shows here?
We got to be in the top 10.
Yeah, we have to be up there.
It says, that's why I said I would believe that too. It says we're number 12. It says the United States has the 12th highest obesity rate in the world at 36.2%, which means, I mean, that's
it's higher than.
Yeah, I think it's way higher than that.
That's low. I think it's up in the 70-some%.
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
Go to the mall, and I guarantee you, at least 5 out of every 10 people you see are going to be obese, and maybe obese is
morbidly obese.
Well, maybe we're talking about overweight, and maybe the guidelines. They're saying that it says it varies by state. So anywhere from 23% is the lowest obesity rate in this country to the highest was 38.1. And this is due to, now look, this what they say here makes sense. This is due to the same dietary, environmental, and cultural factors that cause variations between countries. Diet is primarily to blame, with Americans receiving mixed messages about what they should be eating and how much of it. Faced with mouth-watering advertisements served alongside campaigns promoting daily physical activity and proper nutrition, many Americans opt for fast, cheap, and filling options such as processed packaged food, fast food in larger portions. This often leads to a diet rich in fat, calories, and sodium. Now, the fast food companies like Chick-fil-A, here's what they realize. The butter, sugar, salt trifecta and low in vitamins and nutrients will get you coming back for more and more and more, because you're basically serving food that has no value to it. It's not feeding your body at all. So your body's starving, going, I need more, I need more, I need more. You know, I know the three of us, I mean, I've had I think I had one or two steaks today, one sitting. That's all I've had, along with a couple pieces of bacon and some blue cheese crumbles. That's been it. Monday, I think I went 25 hours before I ate my next meal. And it's so sad that these people are out there that you see walking around like zombies. They're addicted to that sugar, salt, fried food, processed food crap. And we're paying a huge price as a country. And the sad part of it, and I know I'm not speaking to us or the people who are watching this, but the sad part of it is we're going to the establishment that's telling us to eat the crap so they can give us the pill to heal or manage the problems they've created within us. And until we say, look, you know what? We don't believe in your magic. We don't believe in your recommendations, and we don't believe in you. Therefore, we are breaking free from attending or giving you any of our money. And, you know, Steve's got this campaign coming up for November. Man, how cool would the world be, or healthier would the world be? So I'm going to jump gears a little bit. So, Steve, why don't you tell everybody what you got coming up for November, the challenge?
Well, it's, I got the idea because I've recently changed jobs and gotten into a facility with about 400 new people in my life. And they're all starting to get a little exposure to this crazy guy that's almost 60 years old that shows up to work early every day and is happy every day and has a lot of energy. And they're all starting to ask, they see I only eat hamburger or ribeye every day pretty much in the cafeteria with them, and they're all starting to show interest. So I came up with the No Carb November based on the No Shave November idea, which I've already started on. It's just a way to get people to try it, because all the people that have approached me so far are close to my age, suffering various health things. All of them have autoimmune issues, IBS, Crohn's, colitis, just going down the list, rheumatoid arthritis, and every autoimmune disease you could think of, psoriasis, just, all of them. And, that my whole point with them is like, look, this is a great opportunity for you to, if you look at it not as a lifelong dietary change, that just let's take 31 days, 30 days, and get a baseline. Let's just go water, salt, coffee, steak, bacon, eggs,
Butter.
For 30 days. You can meal prep. It's easy. Do your hard-boiled eggs like I do. Cook you a steak in the morning before you come to work, or the night before, to eat during the day, and just try to do OMAD if you can't. Just make sure you got hard-boiled eggs or bacon laying around. But, my whole point to them is, look, you're close to my age, most of them. How's Western medicine working out for you? And they'll all tell you it's not. But Jim, you just said something that kind of triggered me on this, because it's a deeper subject than just the food. The purveyors, the 95% of the people that make up the food guidelines that are conflicted because they sit on board of directors on pharmaceutical and food companies that are purveyors of all this crap, the empty calories that Americans are addicted to. The truth is, the uncomfortable truth is, they're just giving us what we want. And culturally, I think this is why I love the No Carb November. People need to break free of their lives revolving around food is the deeper issue.
Right.
One of the things that I've noticed is there's many, many days, and I'm sure you guys are the same, where it's 11, 12, noon, 1, and you're not even worried about food anymore. But how many years did we wake up in the morning pretty much thinking about our food for the day. You know, whether I was going to go to Panera for breakfast and what I was going to get there, and you know, just the whole, our culture revolves socially around food. You know, get on social media and see it on Sunday and see how many people are missing Chick-fil-A. You know, it's a thing. You know,
it truly,
McDonald's is selling Happy Meals to adults now. You know, with adult toys. So, you know, it's the thing that I'm looking forward to with No Carb November is yeah, getting people on a baseline, getting them free of the plant toxins, the phytochemicals, the sugar, the high fructose corn syrup, all the stuff that they're ingesting that's causing their body to be inflamed. Getting free of all that for 30 days physically is a great thing. But psychologically and emotionally, getting free from the constant thought of what I'm going to eat next is a huge thing, I think.
Yeah, you know, you brought back some flooded memories, because I remember I used to love to wake up, and I've shared this before. I used to love to wake up and cook bacon, sausage, grit, hash browns, toast. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Breakfast was always my favorite meal of the day, because I took the line that it's the most important meal of the day, because that's what they kept programming me with, and the programming stuck. And so I'd get up in the morning, you know, as soon as I wake up, oh man, I can't wait to smell the bacon, get the eggs, get the hash browns going, and having a big meal. I love that. And then when I had to start to commute to work, when I actually had a job, I would stop through McDonald's and get myself, you know, sausage biscuits, egg McMuffin, hash browns, and off I go. And that meal alone causes you to be hungrier. And so I'd finish that. No sooner would I finish that meal, I'm going, man, what am I going to get for lunch? And I'd be already thinking about lunch. I haven't even digested the food I just put in my body. And then it's, what am I going to have for lunch? And then driving home, I'd stop off and get a big old supersized milkshake from McDonald's or Wendy's or someplace. I mean, the amount of calories and the amount of processed fried crap food, along with just, I mean, I don't even think milkshakes are real at McDonald's. They're made from something else. But the chemicals that I was putting in my body back then, it's just, it's criminal what I was doing to myself. I'm not blaming anybody, because I'm the one that was digesting that stuff. But this corruption's even got further than what Brian was sharing with earlier with us. Brian, I did this today. I literally did a Google search for low carb diets and low carb reviews, and it came up with these medical papers and had some doctor endorsed, telling you, they were basically telling you, yeah, go keto. They were giving, but it wasn't keto. They were telling you that you could have these use these seeds, and it was carrots and corn. And it was like, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, man, the corruption has got so bad that the people who are trying to go out to do the right thing, thinking that they're now going to be living out this keto lifestyle because they've heard it's so life-changing, and then when they don't see any results from it, and they're still just as hungry as they were, then they go, oh, you know, it's just not, my body's not meant to do keto. And so that's the sad part. So I'm genuinely saying the best thing we can do is educate yourself through experience. And if you've been considering going keto or carnivore, I highly invite you to do Steve's No Carbs November and truly eat meat and see how your life changes. If it doesn't change, you don't think you're any better, then go back to whatever you were doing. But Brian, back when you were eating back in the 80s, I mean, I know you like breakfast too. Breakfast is always a meal that you like. But
yes.
But did you wake up? I mean, you've always been slender and in shape, but did you always wake up? Did you wake up like, man, I love breakfast? And then when you were eating what you thought was clean living, were you hungry? Like did you eat 3 or 4 meals a day? Or were you eating just 2 or 3 meals even back then?
Well, the traveling lifestyle kind of, I was pretty much eating around noon to begin with. That was breakfast for me. By the time you get up and you round everybody else up and try to figure out where you're going to eat, and then you find a diner to go to or something, it's usually around noon. But no, I think I've pretty much always been like a 2-meal person, but I would snack a lot back in those old days, especially on the road when you're traveling and you stop to get gas and you go run into the convenience store and you grab stuff, that
It's
whole
habit,
thing.
right? Though, but it's habit. I mean, that's how I used to live my life, from gas station to gas station.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I don't know if I shared it on this podcast, but there was a point where, I mean, this was before I even got into nutrition, but I remember stopping, like every time we'd stop at a gas station, I'd find myself in front of the Coke machine. And I remember one time, and it was just because you never knew when you're going to stop again. So you thought, well, I better get it now because we're here, that kind of thing, And I remember this one particular time we stopped, and I walked over there just out of habit, didn't even want anything. And I'm standing there in front of it and I'm thinking, okay, I don't really feel like drinking a Coke. Is there anything else? And I'm looking at all different things, trying to decide what I want. And I just had a moment of clarity. It's like, I don't want anything. What am I doing? Like, why am I going to put money into this machine and get something that I don't want? And I finally broke free right there of that habit, and I just didn't get anything. And I got back in the van, and after that, I realized I was okay. Nothing happened. So the next time we stopped, I decided not to do it again, and that's when I pretty much started to wean myself off of drinking like sodas and stuff at that point. But it was just that little moment where I just saw that it was both like me and Ronnie. Him and I would just beeline it to the Coke machine every time. And after I stopped, he was still doing it, so that kind of reinforced it for me when I would see his thing, keep going like that. But
Right.
But yeah, that's what it was. It was just habit. It wasn't that I needed a snack or a drink or anything. It's just, yeah, we get into these
Loops.
behavior loops. Yeah.
Well, that's a great point, Brian, because the whole subject of 3 meals a day and a couple snacks and everything is. I was just reading a study where actually most Americans eat 7 to 10 times a day.
Wow.
When you add snacks,
yeah, that's
energy drinks,
including snacks and everything, right?
yeah, snacks, energy drinks, Cokes, and every day it's pretty much an all-day grazing type situation. They think they're just having 2 or 3 meals a day, but what they don't realize that they're doing is keeping their body in a metabolic state that's just impossible to keep up with. But one of the funny things about this cultural change that we're really trying to get people to have is even the word breakfast has been hijacked.
Yep.
Even the term break fast
Right.
has been turned into Dunkin'. People, you say breakfast, most people think Dunkin' Donuts,
Right.
McDonald's. They're thinking, yeah, breakfast,
Cracker Barrel, pancakes. Yeah.
well, yeah. And if you want to see a really good example of the obesity in America, just go to Cracker Barrel on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And have a look around. You won't see very many people under 300 in there. I mean, they're serious about their food in there.
Hey, leave my Cracker Barrel alone.
Hey, I love Cracker Barrel, but
I used to love it.
People that are just 40 pounds overweight in Cracker Barrel are skinny.
That's funny. Well, it's funny. I think Brian and I was talking about this last week, because Cracker Barrel, you get they that supersized orange juice that people think that they're doing something good, and they're just like pouring. They might as well just put a IV in and shoot up glucose right into their veins, because that's what they're doing to themselves.
It's crazy. And I've been listening to Bart K and some other smart people talk about something called the Randall Effect. I don't know if you guys have talked about it yet on the podcast, but
Yeah, I've heard about it.
yeah, the whole, the what happens in the body when you give it that much, a large amount of glucose, especially when you're eating fat and protein. The Randall effect is what happens in your body. We call it insulin resistance, but what actually happens is that the cells in our organs shut off from accepting any nutrition because there's too much in the body, and all that glucose is dumped into your cardiovascular system and your pulmonary system, where it can be dealt with. But the problem is, because you're dumping it in the cardiovascular system, this is the Randall cycle. This is where your cardiovascular disease comes from. It's flat out from dumping glucose into your veins and arteries, and the damage is what we call cardiovascular disease. And people, if we're never going to get that taught anywhere, that if you roll through McDonald's and get you a big old breakfast and then pound a big old glass of orange juice, this is what you've done to yourself.
Yeah, and that's the sad part is people, they think of it the other way around, like like a steak is going to do that to you, and it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I saw you were commenting on some posts. I saw you was telling somebody, or somebody was commenting on your steak, and you're saying, oh, it's what are you saying? It's the other way around. When you eat the meat or eat the fat, you lose the fat, and when you eat, there was some exchange you were having. But you're absolutely correct, both of you, in regards to the programming that's been put in people's minds and consciousness, that when they see someone eating steak with fat, and much less adding butter on top or blue cheese crumbles, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for them. Their arteries are getting all clogged up. And the reality of it is that's not what's clogging their arteries. And they have no idea. And the other thing is, most of the food that's processed that they recommend through that White House nutritional guidelines, suggesting Fruit Loops and all frosted mini wheats, because, as you said, Brian, is fortified with vitamins and minerals, and yet that's added in. So it's not even, your body's not even absorbing it through the natural ways. It's man-made additives that your body's not even able to break down and use, really. That may be a portion of it, but I love to see the study that shows what the percentage of your bio is actually able to break that down compared to getting it naturally, which is what our body was made to do. Like eating meat is what we were meant to do. We were meant to be carnivores. 100% we were meant to be carnivores. And
yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing about the vitamins. It's like when you Shannon's back. She was at the store. When you consume a steak, all those vitamins, they're contained within that, and it's all like the fat to help you absorb it, and everything that you need to absorb those vitamins is in that piece of meat. But when you get like man-made cereal with fortified vitamins, it's like it only looks good on a label. It doesn't mean anything health-wise or nutrition-wise.
You want to hear a funny story? So I was sitting at work eating a ribeye with butter and blue cheese on it. And the guy my age sitting across from me eating SpaghettiOs, packaged corn dogs, and then he put table sugar in his SpaghettiOs.
What?
Yeah, like a couple tablespoons of sugar in his SpaghettiOs. And he looked over at me and he said, "You better save up some money for stents." This is what he said to me.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and I laughed, and I was like, dude, I said, my CAC score is 0. And of course, he didn't even know what that was.
Right.
But just another great example of the programming, and the fact that, and then he later told me he takes supplements because he knows he eats like crap, because that's going to minus everything out, right?
That's like having a Diet Coke after you've had a Big Mac, supersized fries.
Right. But I told him, I said, how did humans make it hundreds of thousands of years living off mainly animal protein and no nutritional supplements? How did we make it?
Yeah.
And I was just laughing and being funny with him.
Well, the funny thing is he's sitting there eating that crap thinking it's normal. And what you're eating is not normal.
Exactly.
That's the weird thing.
Well, and I'm just like,
like if you were eating, if it was the other way around, he would probably, I don't know. It's just, it baffles my mind the way people see things, but
I almost couldn't talk for a few minutes because it was that crazy.
Yeah.
Telling me to save money for stents, and I'm looking at what he's eating, watching him pour sugar into his SpaghettiOs. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude.
That almost makes me nauseous thinking of
yeah. Well, what makes me nauseous? Go ahead, Steve.
Google the Randall cycle. That's what I told him.
What makes me nauseous? I remember I used to, back in my bachelor single days, I remember buying cases of raviolis, Chef Boyardee, and having them in the pantry. And I couldn't wait to come home and dump a can of that Chef Boyardee raviolis and put Parmesan cheese on it. You know, and the sad part about it is it didn't even taste good. It's just the habit of having quick food. It never tasted good. So why I was so addicted to it, I mean, and I would have told you back then. I go, oh yeah, I can't wait to get home and get my can of Chef Boyardee's raviolis and put Parmesan cheese on it, stick it in the microwave or cook it on the stove top. But I hear that now. I go, man, I just can't believe how much here's the thing. How resilient our bodies are to put that much garbage into it for that long of a period, and your body's still trying to help you like purge that out to restore you back to health. And so the body is so resilient, and that's why I don't understand how people can't see what's obvious to us three when a loved one goes into a hospital and they give them all that crap food, and how they come out so much worse from eating that hospital dietary food, especially when people are dealing with diabetes or cancer. I mean, cancer alone, that's all it feeds off of. The fact they would give you anything so the cancer, oh, does Steve fall off?
Yeah.
But it's lunacy. I mean, you know, we're sitting there tongue in cheek laughing at this guy at your work, Steve, who's sitting there concerned about you, like you better have money for a stent. But the reality of it is that guy represents really what the USDA and the Food and Drug Administration and big food and big pharma, they programmed those people to believe that. That's the only reason why he would make that statement, because he believes what he's been told. And, you know, and most of them believe they can just take a pill and it's going to be okay. The number of people, I'm sure you've been around people who go, oh yeah, I got to do my insulin shot here. And it's boom, put it in their stomach. And like, you got to do what? Yeah, I just got to do my shot before I eat. What are you going to eat? You know, McDonald's, Big Mac, fries. It's crazy.
Well, the same guy just got out of the hospital with kidney stones. Same dude.
Yeah.
And he won't, but he won't try what I'm doing.
Hey, you know what we really need to do? What we should do is literally have how many people want to make the pledge of doing this No Carb November. And if you're up to it, Steve, or you too, Brian, people go to our Facebook page and just say, hey, I want to do that. Go to the Keto Rocks Facebook page and say you want to sign up for the No Carb November challenge. And we'll assign you to one of our three teams. You can be on Brian's team, my team, or Steve's, and we'll literally interact with you to find out what you've lost, what you've been eating that week. And it'd be really cool to see what you weighed before you went into November and what you weigh going into December. and how you're going to handle Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah,
Because that's the one that hits
that's a
everybody.
big one.
That is a big one, and it's tough, but you can prepare. I'm probably going to have one of my 4 leftover frozen turkeys that's been in there for 2 years. I'm going to break out one. I'm down to 4 though, so that's good news. So I'll be down to 3 after this November. But that would be cool. Would you two be up to that? Would you be up for us having if we had enough?
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah. So people,
yeah,
go ahead.
And one of the things that I'm excited about is that a lot of people were afraid to do keto because it seems hard. I mean, if all the macros, the 75 25, 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbs that people have to do during keto and meal planning and buying everything. And the great thing about No Carb November is steak, hamburger, eggs, water, coffee, salt. It's like there's nothing to think about. Like you might get bored, which a lot of people say that. A lot of people, that's boring. Okay. It's 30 days. 30 days of boring food.
I understand
but you
why
might
people
find that
I can understand why people say that, but it's like me back, talking about habits. I think I've mentioned this. I mean, when I was younger, I could eat pizza every single day. As a matter of fact, I did eat pizza every single day. And and I never got bored with it. And I'm never bored with eating eggs, bacon, or some form of beef, whether it's a ribeye steak or prime rib or ground beef. I'm just never bored with it. And I'm definitely not bored with it knowing that that's the fuel for my body, for my health. And I feel so much better. I was in a training today, and here's what I think everybody needs to ask themselves. You may not want to do this, but what if you did it anyway? And the real question you need to be asking yourself, am I going to feel better if I do this? And challenge yourself to find out if the results are what the 3 of us have experienced. Because I think that if you do it with that mindset, and I'm not saying that's easy to get that mindset, because just like the gentleman that was having lunch with Steve saying, you better save up money for stents, and has been programmed to believe that eating steak, butter, and blue cheese crumbles is going to cause cardiovascular disease. We want you to just, for 30 days, as Steve says, I mean, just give it a shot. I'm pretty certain that if you can do it for 2 weeks, you can do it for the whole month. And I think we've talked about this before. And I think it's all it would take was 2 weeks for you to start experiencing some noticeable changes in your body, whether it's in your sleep schedule, your energy levels, or some weight loss. And for the women out there, you may not experience the weight loss as quickly as your husband or significant other would if they're going to be doing it with you. But the reality of it is, I believe no matter what you are, you're going to feel better. You're going to experience some manageable or some noticeable differences that are going to be positive for you.
And in my experience so far, that's pretty much the way it works. The people that are able to get through the initial sugar detox pains, which are going to be there. I don't lie to people, especially the first 3 to 5 days. You're going to be craving pretty hard. So I make sure they have some electrolytes handy and keep plenty of, because they won't throw away their bad snack food. I've given up trying that, but making sure that you got bacon, hard-boiled eggs, and maybe some cheese handy to bail you out when you do give in to the cravings at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Just go eat some bacon and cheese or something. But if they can get through those 3 to 5 days of sugar detox, we've all experienced the magic
Well,
of
go.
waking up with a clear head all
Yeah,
of a
well,
sudden.
if you need a snack, make sure you got a dozen hard-boiled eggs in the refrigerator and a shaker of Redmond salt, and just pull one out, throw some salt on it, eat that. I mean, the eggs, that's like the
Pork
perfect
rinds.
food. Egg is like the perfect food. There's no better food. I mean, just an egg. Everything you need is in there. So,
Yep.
Brian, I got a question for you. How's the hunt for raw goat milk going?
Slow. I contacted a farm that's east of here, and you know, they said they have goats and raw goat dairy, and they got back to me and said the goats are just now going out of season, so I have to wait till it comes back around, which is on next year at some point. They didn't say when, but they just said 2023.
We did have a couple people respond on last week's episode saying that they had people who raised goats and they thought they could get you some. So I think you may have some milk, if next time you're in Maryland, from a few
Well,
people.
in Virginia, we have to do partial ownership of goats and cows to get raw milk.
Yeah, I think it may be like that here in Tennessee too.
Yeah, you get into a program, you sign a contract, you're a partial owner of a specific goat, and you pay them to milk the goat for you on a regular basis, and then you just stop by every Friday and pick up your portion of the harvest.
Can you? I mean, is it against the law to transport raw goat milk? I
Yeah.
mean,
Probably, but
Yes.
how could they keep track of it? I mean, I know people go up to Kentucky to get it, but yeah, it's hard to find because they can't advertise it, you know, and it's kind of like under the radar kind of a thing. And everywhere that I've scoped out is more than an hour drive from here, so I just haven't gotten around to even taking a trip, you know, to find out.
Well, I think you and Shannon need to take a Sunday cruise road trip and
Well, we did take one. It was on a Saturday, but it seemed like everybody else was out there at the same time. Like it was just where all these Amish farms and produce markets and all this stuff, and we just made the rounds. And every time we'd stop at one, we'd ask like, "Do you know where I can find some raw cow or raw dairy?" And then they'd say, "Oh, we'll go up here and make a right." And, you know, and I'd go that way, and then there was one place that I may have shared this before. I walk in there and they don't have electricity, so you go in there and it's just like it's just vegetables. So
right.
I'm thinking, wow, they're not going to have anything. And then I look over near where the cash register was, and there was a big cooler, and it said raw dairy, or maybe it even said butter. I forget because I was looking for raw butter. And
Yeah.
so I go, oh man, I ran over and I opened it, and there's a melted bag of ice in there, and that was it. Like it was completely empty. So I asked the guy, and he said, well, you know, we get it every like Wednesday or something. So I don't know. It just sounds like hit or miss. And it's like you know, it's over an hour drive. So
Yeah, I got to look. I haven't even gone over to the farm. It's about a mile from my house to find out if they have goats. I mean, they say they sell shares, but Steve, you probably got someone over there in the valley's got to have some connections to have some goats.
There's actually one in Boyce, just south of me, that's got goats and cows raw. But you got to. They don't have any contracts available yet till probably the spring. They're all full. All their cows are sold out.
yeah.
But
Well,
hopefully in the spring I can get on one.
Yeah, well, let me know what the price is for that, because Brian's got me. I'm salivating to try this raw goat milk now, especially after reading the benefits from it. So I definitely want to.
It's amazing.
Hey, if anybody's in Virginia close to Summer Duck, you guys hit me up. I'll meet you. I want to try some of this raw goat milk. So come on, Virginia,
Well,
don't let me down.
especially the heavy cream. Get you some good goat milk ice cream going.
Oh yeah.
With a
Ooh,
little Redmond salt in there and some natural vanilla flavor.
I have not made. I went through the whole summer, Brian, and I did not make your mocha espresso ice cream this summer. And it's my bowl is still sitting in the freezer. Every time it's right beside the four cookies. I need to bust it out. I need to do that. Man, that would be good.
I tried to make some a week or so ago, right around my birthday. And I was gonna, I didn't plan ahead, so I was gonna do like the Dr. Kilt's version, where he just does it all at once. Because I do it where I cook it and do it overnight, and so I just threw everything in there, and it didn't come out right. I don't know what happened. I think I put too many, because I added the espresso grounds because I wanted the espresso flavor in there.
Right.
And I think I dumped too much in there, and it messed up the texture.
Now, did you use goat milk for that, or did you use heavy cream?
No, I used heavy cream. Now I didn't have any raw or anything, but yeah, it just didn't turn out like I was hoping. I was kind of disappointed. I ended up throwing most of it away.
Wow.
Just put it in the freezer and let it get hard. It'll be all right.
Well, I did, and then the next day it was like a brick, and then I couldn't. I tried to let it thaw, and then I forgot about it, and then it just turned into this liquid mush. Yeah.
Somebody in our group, actually, I think it was Linda who posted today or yesterday. I'm looking it up right now. These little ice cream pops, and they were gonna dump them in the chocolate, the low carb chocolate. Let me see if I can pull her up real quick. There she.
You got me at low carb chocolate.
Yeah, I know. It got me at low carb chocolate too. I'm trying to see where it's at. Oh, I don't see it.
Yeah, Linda hooks me up with raw butter every so often when I'm up around Harrisburg.
Yeah, she said that she commented on that on Friday night. She's like, I always give them butter. I always get them butter.
Yeah, I have found it up there around, like Lancaster and that area. It's pretty easy to find. So whenever I'm playing up that way, I always take one of those insulated bags in my suitcase so I can go pick up butter.
You got your butter dealer up there.
Yeah, but they won't ship it here, so.
Oh no,
Brian, you'd be rock star legend if you got busted for transporting raw butter
butter.
Yeah. All these rock stars getting busted for other stuff, and here he is getting busted for bringing raw goat milk or raw goat butter. Oh, I'm not finding it. I don't know where it happened. Where I saw that Oh, there it is. Low carb keto dough bites. No bake cookie dough. It's got one carb. One carb per serving, and this person was going to dump them in Lily's chocolate and freeze them. Let me see if I can
chocolate covered cookie dough bites.
Let me post this up. I'm going to take my backdrop off for a second, and then I'll be able to bring that up on the screen, let you guys see it.
Yeah, I've used those Lily's chocolate. It's the sugar-free.
Chocolate covered cookie dough bites. That sounds amazing. There we go.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Yeah, they look good. So Linda, you're going to tell us if you made those and how good they are.
What is it made out of, though?
Hold on a second. I just got out. I'll send it to everybody. I'll send it to both of you all. So
it's probably almond flour.
Yeah, I avoid that stuff myself.
Okay, here we go. Table of contents. Keto cookie dough fat bombs. No, that's not the recipe.
Come on, Jim.
It's one of those bait switch funnels. So you're clicking on that and it takes you someplace else.
Yeah.
I mean, it keeps sending the picture. I mean, oh my gosh. I don't even know where it keeps going to it, but it doesn't give me the recipe. So I don't even know without clicking on some more clickbait. It says no cooking, easy prep, and you can store in the fridge or even in the freezer for a quick treat every time you get a craving. Everyone loves a quick, low carb, no bake dessert.
I'm liking it. Just share it on your page. We'll find it.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right. Well, Brian, You guys Kix playing anywhere this weekend?
Yeah, we're playing in Norfolk Friday and Hopewell on Saturday.
Oh, where are you playing? What you playing at the gosh, you're not playing at
The
King's
Beacon.
Dominion, are you?
No, Beacon Theater.
Oh, you're playing there this Saturday?
Yeah.
Man, I've been stalking that place. The Panic and I wanted to get those that whole orchestra seats. Man, I need to find out if there's still tickets. What you guys are playing Saturday night?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get him to see if he wants to go. I may see you Saturday. So that's right by that really good barbecue place right around the block.
Yeah, I just realized it. I was trying to remember which place this was, and I go, oh, I think that's where the barbecue place was.
Yeah, that is where the barbecue place is. Yeah, that was a good joint. I know Trent and I went there, and Stepanek went there. So anyway, well, listen, I'm not going to keep Captain Carnivore more than an hour, and it is that time to wrap everything up. So I'm going to ask the same question I ask Brian every week. If someone's watching this show for the first time, what bit of advice, what food group would you say they should participate in, or to bring them vitality, health, and better immune system? Brian, what would you tell them?
I would say eat your meat.
And I think the three of us say yes. There you go. That's it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Friday night. Thanks for tuning in with us. Stay safe, stay well, stay kind, and stay out of that hospital. We'll see you guys, everybody. Have a good trip, Brian.
See ya.
See you guys.